Hello everybody, welcome to the Centbee Show. I'm your host Lorien Gamaroff and my co-host is Kage Ntshingila. Kage, how are you doing?
And yourself?
I'm very good, thank you very much. It's great to be back in the studio. Here we are talking about Centbee as always, our favorite subject.
Our favorite day of the week.
Favorite day of the week, favorite subject, favorite topic, Bitcoin, SV and payments and mobile money and all the things that we spend our lives working on.
Yeah, just trying to activate people's lives,
That's it, yeah.
And Mr. G, Centbee is a mobile money wallet.
Yeah.
And one thing I've picked up is that a lot of people are starting to get the vibe of sending money via mobiles. And I've picked up that quite a few young people are downloading Centbee and they're enjoying it.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, mobile is here, and every single thing that you do these days seems to be on a mobile phone.
Yeah.
I mean, you just look at kids today, that's what they are born with. They're born with a screen, and they know how to work it.
Yeah.
And if all the interactions, the way that they consume media, the way that they communicate, the way they express themselves, everything is on the mobile phone. And it's just a natural thing to think about payments being on a mobile phone.
Yeah.
This whole idea of physical cash kind of feels old-fashioned and outdated.
It is. Because if you check, I mean, like you're saying, if these guys can send each other money without having to handle cash, it means there's no borders, there's no limitations in terms of where they can send the money or who they can send the money to. Centbee,
That's true. I mean, think about the digital networks around us. Of course, in some countries, data is still relatively expensive. So if we're looking at countries across the African continent that are typically very poor, you would think that one of the biggest obstacles is the cost of data, but we see how that's going down.
Yeah.
We see how mobile phones, smartphones, are just getting cheaper and cheaper. And so it's just the perfect environment to start thinking about how can we now bring payments to young people. And what we've always done with Centbee is look at what young people are using today, and obviously not just young people. Everyone uses
payments includes everyone basically.
Payments includes everyone, but everybody's on social networks, and this is what they're comfortable with. And so if we can think about payments and social networks, we've got a winning formula. And I'm very excited to see how this space expands. What we can see already are social networks like Meta, Facebook, and Twitter. They're looking at integrating payments into those platforms because there are billions of people on these platforms communicating. And it's just natural that you can now spend on those platforms conveniently. So these apps, all of these social networking apps, are going to eventually try and offer some kind of payment service. I mean, look at X. Elon Musk wants X to be the everything app. So he wants you to shop, he wants you to communicate, he wants you to consume the media. He's creating this inevitable convergence of everything that it takes to be able to engage in the world and engage with other people. So we see that. We can see where the things are headed.
It's clear,
And we are definitely focused on trying to become a player in that space. And because we have access to digital cash in the form of Bitcoin SV, we have a superpower. And it's going to be a very short amount of time until Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg see Bitcoin SV as the perfect digital cash system.
I can imagine that.
That they can now incorporate into their platforms.
Because that would be a seamless integration.
Yes, that's the thing. We're living in a very privileged time right now, at least in terms of Centbee, where they haven't seen it yet. We have. We've seen how Bitcoin SV can be a regulatory friendly, low-cost digital cash network for the world. So we're jumping on that. And I'm pretty sure that we can get a head start. And then when it comes to the time when Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk and Jack Dorsey and all these other guys, when they figure out, hang on, Bitcoin SV is the solution. We don't have to create our own digital currency. Facebook has been trying to create digital currencies. They always fail.
They failed,
And they're going to look and say, hang on, BSV. Then when they incorporate BSV into their system, Centbee is going to have a tough time competing on that level. But maybe by then, if we have that amount of time, we will already have been able to capture a market share. And this is the story of entrepreneurship. You can be a small little one person, and you can have an idea, you can jump on that idea, you can develop an app, start getting users, grow, and then eventually become a global massive player like Facebook. That is literally the Facebook story.
Definitely. And it's quite groundbreaking, like if we take it back to the white paper, because it's about peer-to-peer transactions, So if you look at it in that aspect, there hasn't been a social element that's considered about transactions. And if you check, peer-to-peer has always been the idea of conversations, chats, and stuff like that, but not transactions. So if we actually put it to that, we can't take away the fact that money is the first social element that actually connects people.
Yeah, definitely. So when we look at payments, especially in a physical cash world, that is the natural way people make payments to each other in a physical cash world. When we talk about peer-to-peer, we mean from person to person.
Yeah, I mean, we can also take it back, Mr. G, also in terms of how we used to communicate. Like, right now we can send text and stuff, but we used to have telegrams. We used to have letters.
You mean like physical, good old-fashioned?
Yeah, like before everything went digital. It started as physical. So I think it was quite inevitable for also money to come to this state of transformation.
Exactly, and that's why when we look at physical cash transactions, that's natural, as you say. When you have a physical thing like a coin or a note, you can hand that over to somebody else in a peer-to-peer way, in a person-to-person way. We don't have to go through some trusted intermediary, somebody in the middle, to be able to conduct that transaction. It's just between the two parties. There's no third party trying to play a role there. But when we get into a digital world, that's when things become a lot more complicated, because since we've had digital networks, we haven't had the ability to make a digital payment person to person directly without having some centralized authority, an intermediary, somebody in the middle. With a fee, but that is the one that is providing the service. So when I want to make a digital payment to you, I don't hand you a digital transaction.
You send it through the store, and then I get it through the store.
Well, what I'll do, let's say, is through a bank. I will communicate with my bank, and I'll say, please, can you pay Kage $100? And then they will go and execute that transaction. So they'll move the money and put it into your bank account. So that's not a peer-to-peer transaction. And that's really what has been the difficulty when it comes to payments in the digital world. How can we make a digital payment that is trustworthy, that doesn't require an intermediary, somebody in the middle who can facilitate that transaction? Because if I hand you a digital transaction, how can you trust that I haven't already spent that money? So we need somebody in the middle who can keep track of all that stuff. And if I want to make a payment to you, I can send an instruction to, let's say, that bank. They can check if I've got the funds. And if I do have the funds, they will then send it to you. But in a peer-to-peer way, without having to go through that trusted intermediary, how can we do that? And that's really been the difficulty ever since we've had digital payments. Going right back to the early days when, in the 1990s, when e-commerce started coming along. I guess we can talk about the history of that.
Cool. Yeah, guys, remember to download the Centbee app, check it out on the stores. If you haven't updated by now, your phone is probably missing out, man. Like, come on, your mobile phone needs to be on fire with mobile money from Centbee. Remember to check out the app on the stores. Remember to show some love. You know the drip by now.
If you don't have Centbee on your phone, then it's ice. It's cold as ice.
It is.
It's not on fire.
It is. Yo, guys, come on now. You need to actually experience the power of PSV through Centbee. So get your mobile on fire by downloading the Centbee app. Yo, remember, mobile money on fire. Yo, show some love, yeah? Cool, Ms. G. I like to take it back in terms of understanding these concepts in the crypto space. But the peer-to-peer, where does it all start? Like, let's take it back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have to take it back to when we first started seeing consumers spending on the internet.
Yeah.
I mean, when we think about the 90s and the 2000s, there was that whole dot-com boom.
Yeah.
When every company was creating a website, and we had all these dot-com startups that were promising that you could now shop online for all the things you need. I mean, this was really when Amazon was just getting started.
Yeah.
And there were a lot of websites. There was a famous one called petfood.com, but a whole bunch of them. And the promise there was that you would never have to now go to a store and buy things the old-fashioned way. You could just go online and buy stuff.
When you speak of that, I just had sort of like a flashback of when I was like literally just switching on my PC at home with Windows 98 back in the day. Like just seeing that and just seeing America online, just thinking that I'm connected, it was quite crazy. Like the transition, having to take it from then to now, like how far like online payments have come. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, in those days, it was very rare that in those days, people were worried about shopping online.
Yeah.
Because there was no payment method that was made for the internet.
Yeah.
The only way that you could buy anything on the internet was if you used your credit card. And the way you did that was you had to punch in your credit card details, just like you do today.
That still gets people uncomfortable.
It still gets people uncomfortable, but in those days, that was terrible because, of course, if you give your credit card information over to somebody, there's nothing stopping them
to spend on it,
from taking money out of your account.
Yeah.
And so those dot-com companies that were pushing this whole idea of e-commerce, they didn't really take off very quickly because people were too afraid to put their credit card details onto the internet for obvious reasons. And I mean, the credit cards were made in the 50s, I think they started out. And the whole idea there was that you presented the card and there was a signature and the merchant could look you in the eye, check your ID. That's what a credit card was for. But on the internet, you just put in your credit card number in. You don't know who's checking that information.
It could be a kid buying stuff that he shouldn't.
Or maybe an intern and he leaks that information. And that's why it took a long time for people to become comfortable to spend on the internet. Now look, those problems haven't gone away. That's exactly how the world is today. It's just that the internet is so convenient when it comes to spending and shopping that people have no other choice apart from putting their credit card into a website. Now, one of the things that helped that along, or at least one of the companies, was Elon Musk's company, PayPal. What PayPal was all about was, instead of you having to give your credit card to all these different websites and merchants that you don't necessarily trust, PayPal said, look, give us your credit card and we will keep it safe and you can trust us. And then if you want to go shop online, well, then we will create the transaction for you. You can transact through us and you trust us. We won't share your credit card information. And that is a way of generating trust on the internet.
So those were the early days of e-com spending, basically.
That's right. PayPal really was significant because it made people trust payments on the internet. Look, it didn't change anything. You still had to trust PayPal with your credit card information. But at least now you didn't have to just go and hand that information out to every website that you wanted to shop on.
Because at least it limited like the security bridges that you could be potentially facing.
Yes, you got one point of failure. And of course, it as I said, it didn't mean that you still had to use your credit card, but you only had one company to trust. Now, as I said, the problem still exists today, and we always hear about how credit cards get compromised, at least the information gets compromised, and people are selling credit card information online. And of course, one of the things that everybody feels when you spend on your credit card, and the merchants feel, is the fee. That fee is to insure against fraud, because it's impossible to stop fraud using a credit card. So nothing has changed. We still live in that world today. The only difference is now we have to do it.
Yeah.
Because we want to use Uber and we want to shop online. We want to do all those things.
We can't escape it.
So we are just going to say, all right, fine, we're going to hope and trust. And of course, we're all paying for that service of using these credit cards that were never meant for the internet. But we've got no choice, and that's what we have today.
Mr. G, that sounds like we've come a long way already, but we haven't even reached the era of smartphones.
Yeah.
And that's like your early 2010s.
Yes.
You know, and now people are getting comfortable with spending money online.
Yes.
You know, through their smartphones.
Yeah.
You no longer need a computer now. Like, now how does that come about till today?
Well, that's made spending a lot easier.
Yeah.
Because if you are online, really you just have access to online e-commerce. But now that we have smartphones, people are spending on their phones.
Yeah.
Like we mentioned Uber, but there are so many different services that you subscribe to.
Yeah.
Maybe you buy games or ringtones or something like that.
Netflix.
Yeah, so smartphones are probably the dominant way these days that people get into spending money in a digital way.
Yeah.
If we just look at the young people, but also if we look at the proliferation of mobile money apps across the world, you see companies that are offering wallets, mobile payment systems, mobile money apps. And so now it's not so much thought of as an online e-commerce payment, but because I've got the phone in my hand, I can now go and spend money wherever I go.
Yeah.
So if I want to shop at a store or I want to pay a friend or something, mobile now has really opened up that idea that it's not just an online transaction.
Yeah.
Now it's a digital wallet in your pocket. And
that's quite crazy because I'm thinking back in the day when I used to have like a Velcro wallet with stacks of cards, you know, and I'm like looking at it like I made it, you know.
What do you mean? I still have that.
But, you know, like change has come so much in tech that when you have your phone, you feel like you can literally explore the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, I mean, online payments were still sort of like bounded to you being home with your computer, you know, and it was more that if you look at it, like just getting your stuff delivered at home.
Yes.
You know.
Yes, going online, ordering something, getting it shipped.
Yeah. But that has completely changed, like regarding like mobile money.
Yeah.
Because literally your wallet, your phone is your wallet.
Yes.
Wherever you travel with it, you can literally have your money as your mobile, you know, as your mobile wallet.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. And it means now that we are able to, as you say, travel, but also we can pay each other where we are. So I can now send you money. I can, as I said, I can be at a merchant or I can be with you and I can send money directly to you.
Yeah.
So that introduces this whole idea of, instead of it just being online shopping, now we're talking about people payments.
Yeah.
And that idea of peer-to-peer payments. When we hear about that word, those words peer-to-peer, just means person to person.
Yeah.
So mobiles now have expanded our ability to make digital payments in a peer-to-peer fashion.
Yeah.
And so that is really the world we're in right now. But of course, there are still problems with that we'll need to discuss.
Yeah.
Because when you make a mobile payment, it's not the same as handing cash over to somebody.
Directly, yeah.
All your mobile wallet really is a communication device. And when I want to pay somebody, then I send a message to the wallet provider or the mobile money provider or the bank.
Your bank, yeah.
And I then will send them that instruction.
Yeah.
And I'll, in the same way, say, I want to pay Kage, please pay him some money. So all that's happened is that laptop mentality has moved into our pockets, but we still have pretty much the same situation.
Yeah.
We still have an app that is now communicating with a central third party,
Yeah.
and we are asking them to transact on our behalf.
Yeah.
So it's not actually a person-to-person transaction.
Yeah.
It's not like a physical cash transaction. I'm sending you the cash. I'm just sending a message to somebody to send you that money.
Reminds me of just how phone calls used to operate back in the day. How you would actually get through to an operator. Before they actually link you to your
Yes. Now they're taking the human out. There's still a switching going on there, but
it's direct now.
Yeah. So that's the state that we have today. I mean, if we look at the mobile money apps like M-Pesa in Africa and Airtel and MTN Momo. But of course, we've got WeChat in Asia, that's huge.
Venmo
in America.
Yeah.
So more and more now, people are becoming comfortable with payments.
Yeah.
But there is still this idea of, I can't actually send you money directly.
Yeah.
I need to go through a central party to be able to do that transaction, to execute that transaction. And so actually, when people talk about peer-to-peer payments today, like with a mobile money transaction, it's not actually peer-to-peer. It's really just the internet in your pocket and you sending a message to somebody to pay somebody else.
Because hindsight, it's still that old system of actually,
Because you don't hold that money in your pocket. It's sitting somewhere at a bank or at a mobile money provider.
Yeah.
And I can't just give you that transaction. I need to send that instruction through the provider.
Yeah.
Now, fine, that works cool. I mean, we see mobile money apps are working great today.
Yeah.
But you've got this idea of being connected. You see, now when I want to send you money, if I've got physical cash, I just got to hand it to you, right?
Yeah.
But if it's a digital payment,
You need internet connection.
you've got to be connected.
Yeah.
So now this whole issue of how do I make a digital transaction and I'm not even connected to the internet, because that's very reasonable.
Yeah.
You know, you might be in a location where the signal's weak, your data package might be expired.
Yeah.
There's so many reasons why, just because you've got the mobile phone in your pocket, you can't connect to the network and you can't make that transaction. So even though we talk about peer-to-peer payments in mobile money, we still don't see it.
Yeah.
It's just in name. It just feels like peer-to-peer.
Actually, it is. It's just in name. Because with your explanation, it actually exposes the fact that these systems still operate like the old systems. They just put a facade of just making things convenient for users, like just because now you can easily just spend your cash through your mobile, it doesn't necessarily mean like the system has changed. You can send money directly to that person. You still have to go through the system, instruct it, and then, it's still old school.
And also, it's not digital cash. Now, if we want to replicate the idea of physical cash in a digital world, having money in a bank is not the same as me having cash.
It's not.
That money is being held by somebody else.
You can't access it anytime.
You have to ask permission.
Yeah.
Now, the whole idea of cash is that I give you the cash.
Yeah.
But in these other kinds of transactions, these online transactions, what's happening there is that money is being pooled out of my account, and it's being put into your account. So it's subtle, but it's quite important. The difference between what is called a push payment, where I am personally handing over that money to you, and a pool payment, where you are pulling money out of my bank account. That's kind of how a credit card transaction works if you're a merchant. The credit card company is going to make a request to the bank to take money out of your account. So that's why when we talk about these payments, they're not peer-to-peer, but also they're not the same as a cash payment. There's this element of trust, because you are, if you're a merchant or receiving a payment, you're pulling money out of my account, and I have to trust that you're not going to pull more, that there's going to be some problem along the way where that money might be frozen or something like that. So what we want to try and do is replicate that idea of a cash, where the only way you can take money from me is if I give it to you. And until the advent of Bitcoin, that was never a possibility.
Ever, yeah.
So this kind of brings us now to the whole idea of Bitcoin, which is that, again, the title of that Bitcoin white paper being a peer-to-peer digital cash system.
Yeah.
So something completely unique that's never existed before.
Ever.
Where I can physically, in a digital way, connect to you,
Yeah.
and without going through some intermediary, and I can hand over the cash to you that you can spend. And that's why Bitcoin is so interesting.
It is, because essentially it sort of like replicates the actual system of physical cash, like handover, peer-to-peer.
Yes.
Because essentially that's what it needs to be if you're going to say it's peer-to-peer.
Right.
Yeah.
If it's peer-to-peer, it means I am giving you the money.
Yeah.
I'm not asking somebody else
Yeah.
to transact on my behalf.
Yeah.
And I'm pushing it to you. And that's way more secure, because I'm the person who is deciding this is how much,
Yeah.
and I'm giving it to you. I'm not saying, hey, you've got permission to reach into my pocket, take out my wallet, and take what I owe you.
Yeah.
That's a pool payment.
It is.
Me giving you my wallet and you go and take the money out the wallet.
You didn't also sort of like action it, like you are saying I'm handing you the cash, but it's
Yes.
more actioning an instruction.
I'm saying I'm giving you permission to
Yeah.
go and take money out of my account.
And even so, you're not guaranteed that that's the value that's
Exactly.
going to be taken.
Exactly.
So it's still finicky there. Like
Yes.
it's still tricky.
It's still funny, and this is why the internet never solved payments.
Yeah.
Why we have these credit card payments,
Yeah.
why we have to have these trusted intermediaries, until Bitcoin arrived on the
Yeah.
scene. And now what we have is this digital cash, I give you the money, and peer-to-peer. Now, this is the interesting part, that, as I said to you before, in a normal exchange, it's not peer-to-peer. Even though if I'm using mobile money and I'm paying M-Pesa to M-Pesa,
Yeah.
and I'm sending you the money, it feels like it's going directly to you, but M-Pesa is handling all that stuff.
Yeah.
Now, Bitcoin said, you don't worry, you can do this without having to connect
Yeah.
to a company or anything like that. I can now connect to you without data.
Yeah.
Let's say it's through NFC, like near field communication, or Bluetooth, or something like that.
Oh, that's crazy.
I can connect to you directly without a data network, and I can physically hand over a digital cash,
That's dope.
and you can receive it, and you can trust that I haven't spent that, because again, in digital transactions, how do you know that the money
Trust,
hasn't been
yeah.
spent? Bitcoin solved that problem. Not only is it cash and low cost, but it also has this ability to connect in a peer-to-peer way. And there's a technology that we could probably dive into within Bitcoin
Yeah.
that makes that possible.
That's crazy, Mr. G, because I can see it like as a solution to the many problems that Africa or around the world people are experiencing regarding connection or staying connected.
Yes.
Because if I'm not connected, that means I can't purchase anything. I can't send a message. I can't.
Exactly.
By the way, guys, when we're speaking of Bitcoin, we're speaking the real one, Bitcoin SV, yeah? So, yeah, stay in the loop. So, Mr. G, with that being said, that means BSV is the real solution, because if I compare it to the actual act of you paying someone physically, if you're giving me 50 rands right now, you took it out of your wallet and gave it to me. I take it, and that's a transaction successfully done, right?
Done.
there.
You've
Yeah.
received it, it's yours.
No
Yes.
fees, nothing.
I can't take it back.
You can't.
I can't also go to the credit card company and say,
Claim.
I didn't make that payment.
Exactly.
Because
You can reverse it. That's also another
well, the
issue.
credit cards you can.
Yeah.
You can. If I see my statement, I didn't make these payments.
Yeah.
Phone the bank.
Yeah.
I want my money back. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Because they have to. That's the whole nature of credit cards. They could easily be fraud.
Yeah.
But if I'm handing it to you,
That's a different ball game.
then it's done.
Yeah.
There's no way I can come back and say, no, I want to reverse the transaction. The only way I can get that money back, if it's a cash transaction, is asking you for it back.
And for me, it's the level of authority that a user should have in terms of your money, because you should be able to control
Yeah.
exactly how you pay people or how you want to pay people.
Yes.
And that is going back to the physical form of handing cash
Yes.
to someone. So that is the ultimate solution. That's crazy.
The word we can remember is control.
Yeah.
The owner of that cash has the full control.
Yeah.
And also the trust.
The trust, yeah.
Because that payment once made has been received. There's no 60 days later that money gets reversed.
Yeah. And the awesome part is that it's now also visible on the ledger.
Yes.
So that's like
you can verify
an irreversible transaction, basically.
It's irreversible, it's there, it's a physical cash payment. So that's why Bitcoin really makes all the things that we've been talking about in terms of peer-to-peer.
It really does.
Makes it possible. This is why Bitcoin was such a genius invention. Because now not only can we make digital cash transactions, we can do it in a peer-to-peer way.
Yeah.
And since we're on that subject now of peer-to-peer, interestingly, if you do look at the design of Bitcoin that's defined in the Bitcoin white paper, there's a whole section that talks about how this can be done. How you can make reliable payments in an offline way where you don't need to now download the whole blockchain to be able to verify the coins that I'm sending you haven't been spent. You can just use this aspect of Bitcoin, which in the Bitcoin white paper is called the Simplified Payment Verification SPV process. And that is a process that's explained very neatly in the Bitcoin white paper, but it talks about how you don't need to now have that full ledger of transactions to be able to check where the coins have been spent. You just need to download a very small amount of information onto your mobile phone, a couple kilobytes, which is basically a summary, you can call it, of all transactions. And then I can have that information on my phone, just a few kilobytes, which is easy. And then if I'm in an area where I don't have connectivity for whatever reason, if you pay me now, if you send that Bitcoin transaction to me directly, then I can receive that and I can just validate it against that little summary. And I can instantly tell, okay, hang on, these coins look like they've been spent. Obviously, there's a reasonable gap there. I mean, if I've been offline for an hour, then
obviously,
and you're paying me, I'll have to make a risk assessment. I'll have to think, okay, he wants to just buy a pack of gum. Okay, fine. I mean, if I guess in the last hour, if he's spent those coins and it's for a low value transaction,
that's fine.
I'll take the risk. In fact, a lot of supermarkets do that too with credit cards. Where if you spend below a certain threshold, they don't need to go and authorize and check that the validity of the credit card. They just check the PIN. PIN is fine, low value. We've got a history of you shopping here.
True.
Okay, fine, we'll accept it without having to go back and verify. But there's still that risk there. And with Bitcoin, you can do the same. I can accept a payment from you with a very reasonable level of trust in that transaction. Now, of course, if you want to come buy a Lambo from me, then the likelihood of me saying that's fine, I'll trust, I probably wouldn't do that. But remember, that's the merchant or the person who is receiving the money. They are the ones who are interested in making sure that they've got all the right information. So if I'm a merchant, I'm going to try my best to stay connected and keep up to date with the blockchain. And so if a shopper comes in, then I've got all the up-to-date information and I can trust it. But from your perspective, you don't need to worry about connectivity and broadcasting your payment.
I just want my product.
You just want what exactly you want the product. So you'll come into the store. There's no connectivity, but you've got a Bitcoin wallet like Centbee. You can connect to the merchant, send the payment, and it's up to the merchant. They can accept it or not. And if they accept it, you're fine. They will go when they have a chance. They'll connect to the network. They'll broadcast that transaction. It'll go into a block and it'll be settled. As far as you're concerned, you've made the payment. You've got the goods and you're out of there. So the genius of Bitcoin wasn't that it was this very low cost global digital cash system. It was also something that had natively in it this ability to make offline transactions. And so if we have those two capabilities...
That's groundbreaking, Mr. G. Like, you don't understand, like, excuse me, the issues that people actually... I'm sure you've came across this, like, at a supermarket. You're trying to pay, and they're actually struggling to connect with the network, and already it's, you know, appalling.
System is down.
Yeah, it's appalling because
Yeah.
you want what you want at that point, and if you're not enabled in that sense to spend your money, then it becomes an issue. So I really see BSV as the ultimate solution to
Yes.
like all these sort of like network problems that we have globally.
Network problems, trust problems.
Yeah.
Again, you're not giving your personal information over
Yeah.
like a credit card. You are pushing cash
Payment.
over the counter to the person
Yeah.
in a digital way. They can trust that it's being received. You know, it just fixes all the problems that the internet has had in terms of payments. And of course, you know what's really, really interesting, and you can, if you're geeky enough, you can go check this out.
Yeah.
There is on the internet, when you create web applications,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
we've got the HTTP protocol and all that.
Yeah.
There are these codes that you can use on the internet for certain things. If a web page is down, you get a 404 error.
Yeah.
You know, those kind of
503, yeah,
all those
these,
internet codes.
Yeah.
There's even an internet code for payments
Oh yeah.
on the internet, but it's never been used on HTTP
Are
protocol.
you serious?
Yes, because there was never a payment system developed for the internet. People just
True.
said, okay, fine, we'll just use credit cards.
We'll settle for that. Yeah.
So for decades now, there's
Jeez.
been this payment code that's been waiting for
nothing.
some solution to solve internet payments.
We have
And
BSV now.
now we have Bitcoin SV. So the internet for the last 30 years or more has just been waiting and waiting for that perfect internet cash that can solve all the problems that credit cards have had forever and that we all just accept
Yeah.
because there's no other alternative. Bitcoin solved that. Digital cash, peer-to-peer. And now, I mean, as I said earlier, if other companies start figuring this out, they are going to jump on this. Merchants are going to love it
Yeah.
because now they don't have to worry about credit card fraud. They don't have to worry about payments that can be...
All the admin just to put like, you know, security in place.
Well, the admin would be when there is a dispute and a customer says, hang on, I didn't make that payment.
Yeah.
Now that you have to go back to the bank. And so the internet's been broken
It has been.
in terms of payments.
Yeah.
Even Elon Musk in the 90s with PayPal couldn't solve that.
Yeah.
But Satoshi Nakamoto, 2009, came along, fixed that problem for us. And we've seen that. A lot of people out there have seen it. Although, of course, with crypto, that message has been forgotten. But with payments, with peer-to-peer payments, digital cash payments, Bitcoin and SV has solved that problem. We, of course, have jumped on that.
Yeah.
We see the value in that.
Yep.
When we talk about mobile money on fire, it's on fire
Is that what it is?
because it has integrity,
Yeah.
it has resilience, it has trust,
Yeah.
it has truth. I mean, let's just think about all the things that you can
Honestly,
apply
yeah.
to it.
Yeah.
It's incredible. We're on it and we are making it happen.
Come on, guys. You already know. You already know by now. So I suggest you check out the app on the stores, subscribe, show some love, and remember to check out our previous episodes, guys. I mean, this is the only way you can stay plugged to know which is the real BSV, you know. So yeah, we are consistent with our messaging. So I suggest you subscribe or, you know, get your friends plugged. So yeah, remember just to check out the app, show some love. You know the drill by now.
Know the drill by now.
Yeah. So, like I always say, the worst place you can have your BSVs on an exchange. So just send it to your Centbee app, get spending, send it to your friends, your family. Just experience the powers of BSV through Centbee. Yo.
If your Bitcoin's on an exchange, your lifestyle won't be activated, but your
problems,
neurological problems, your psychological problems will be enhanced.
big time, yo. So yeah, just ease yourself of the stress. Just send your cash to Centbee wallet, get spending, get to enjoy BSV, yo. Cool, yeah. We're going to be jumping into this week's questions and feedback from you guys on socials. So our first one is from Cassandra. Cassandra is saying convenient, intuitive app for managing and sending money securely. Now that's accurate. That's true.
Cool. I think we've had a Cassandra before, haven't we?
They keep coming back.
Maybe she just loves us. And we appreciate it.
We appreciate it.
Okay, go for it, Kage.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, Cassandra. So our second highlight comes from Danica. Danica says, Centbee has truly revolutionized the way I manage my finances. Sending and tracking money has never been easier. That's so true.
Thanks, Danica.
Yeah, guys.
Glad you like it.
Yeah. Remember to download the Centbee app, guys. You're missing out. I mean, this is not our handwriting. You can hear our peers just telling the truth as it is, So yeah, check out the app, yo. So our third one comes from Jando. They are saying, I think this one was more of a comment on our previous show. So they are saying that was by far the best explanation for the halving and the functional differences between the small blockers and the big blockers.
Yes, if you are interested in knowing about the Bitcoin halving, which is coming up in April-ish, around about, that's all explained in a show we just did, the previous show.
Yeah, check it out,
So
guys.
we'll definitely link to that.
Yeah.
Catch it. Thanks for the comment, Danica.
Short. Yeah, she's saying, awesome conversation, guys. Keep up the great work. Let's go, BSV.
Let's go.
Short. So yeah, our fourth one comes from BSV Believer. What a name. They're saying, with Centbee, you can effortlessly combine enjoyment and affordability right now.
Yes.
That's my favorite word, right now.
Right now, low-cost transactions, and we've got tons of places where you can spend your Bitcoin SV.
Yeah.
So get your lifestyle activated today.
Yeah.
On Centbee.
Yo, guys, get your mobile on fire with Centbee. Remember to check out the app on the stores. You can't be having a cold phone, guys. Come on now. Get it on fire. Ignite it with Centbee. Experience the power of BSV through Centbee. So if you don't have the wallet, just check it out on the stores now. We are available on Apple, Google Play, on Huawei App Gallery. So yeah, check it out, guys. Ms. G, I think we've come to the end of the show.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Well, thanks, Kage. Thanks for the topic, and that we can discuss a very novel and interesting way of digital payments, using digital payments on the internet. The fact that Satoshi Nakamoto solved a major problem online, which is payments.
Yeah.
So we can move away from this outdated credit card system of
Stone Age.
Stone Age system is really tremendous and very exciting, and of course really just is going to have a significant impact on the world and emerging economies. So we are very happy to be playing a role in that.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Ms. G. Thanks for, like I always say, for me, it's always schooling for me because, we're getting a lot of insight from your experience in the BSV space, in the, blockchain space. I mean, guys, there's nowhere else to hear the truth but here, So check out our previous episodes, subscribe, show some love. You know the drill by now.
Cool. All right. Well, thanks, Kage, and thanks everybody for tuning into the Centbee Show. Please come back soon.